All right. Thank you very much, Eduarda. And thank you for the audience. Just a few final preparatory things with the screen before we can start.
Yeah.
I think it works.
It's not yet in full slides.
No, it's fine. I can start anyway. Yeah. So first of all, so from our side, a huge thank you to ETF and ETF and all the countries participating in this series of webinars. I followed most of them, and I think also for us in the context of the European Qualifications Framework, it was very interesting to follow it and very inspirational as well. So thank you very much for that, and we also hope that this part on digital credentials will also be interesting for you. We already saw some references to this important strand of work in the presentation we saw today already, and in a few previous ones. So I think it's a very important topic to address here. So today I will say just a few words on the background of this, and I'll go quick because due to the time. I think it's much more interesting to see showcase a demo of how this looks like in the context of the new Europass portal, and my colleague Ildiko Mazar will take care of that. So and after that we can discuss questions from your side, of course, and even after that, if you have questions or want to. You want to be in touch with us on further developments from your side, of course, we're happy to have a talk on that. We know that peer learning and sharing experiences is so important in the context of qualification frameworks. So we definitely want to provide our support if needed. Yes, there we go, right on time.
Dennis, we cannot hear you. You're muted.
You hear me now, I think.
Yes.
Okay, great. So the new Europass. Europass is a set of online tools to help users communicate their skills, qualifications, and experiences and manage their career online. It already existed quite some time, and we updated the portal as of the 1st of July this year as one of the 12 flagship actions of the so-called European Skills Agenda, which was adopted on the 1st of July this year. The primary ambition of the skills agenda, and also I think of Europass, is to make lifelong learning a reality for everyone in Europe. And given the current crisis context, I think it's even more important. So if you look into the elements of the new Europass, and I'll try to go quick, consists of an interoperability mechanism to exchange information on skills and qualifications amongst different actors. For instance, if you have information on your resume, you want to share it with employers, you can do it with Europass, or share it on portals like LinkedIn. That's also possible. Yes. E-portfolio. The new Europass offers a range of online e-portfolio tools and information for people of all ages and all stages of their lives to manage their learning and career. For instance, with the help of a personal profile to record all your skills, qualifications, and experiences. And also in this case, Ildiko will give an example of what the e-portfolio looks like. Then next, on information provision, Europass is offering more and more information which is relevant for all users. And if I can give an example, in the context of the qualification frameworks, we are offering qualifications databases from the different countries that are part of the European Qualifications Framework. And the idea is that they, on a voluntary basis, offer their databases with all their qualifications they are offering, which have gone through the national qualification frameworks. With that, people can make can compare qualifications across different countries, for instance. Right now, we are offering qualifications databases of around, I don't know by heart, but around 8 to 9 countries. And of course, the aim is to offer the qualification databases of all EU member states. Yeah, and then the European Digital Credentials infrastructure. That's part of the presentation, so I won't elaborate on that. And over here on the screen, you also see 2 links. The first deals with the digital credentials infrastructure itself, and the second one is the starting page for the qualifications that are offered online. And it might be nice to have a look yourself what we're doing there, and how you can also compare related qualifications, for instance. Yeah, so Europass Digital Credentials infrastructure, as I've said, it's central to the EU skills agenda. And I think I'll try to go quick. It's also mentioned in the Digital Education Action Plan. Of course, the Europass decision, which was, which formed the basis for the work around Europass, but also the European Data Strategy, and the European Skills Agenda, what I just said. So I think this emphasizes the importance of this strand of work, and that it's covered by many strands of work within the European Commission right now. So yeah, that's the reason why we're doing it. So in terms of opportunities, of course, interoperability, I think I don't need to elaborate on that. Very important. The use of a data model, issue credentials online, and to develop your own applications with it. Furthermore, what is good to mention is that with Europass, there is already access to 2 million wallets of users. So in these wallets, you can add these credentials, and Ildiko will show that in a moment, with also access to qualification and awarding bodies data. So it's more of an overarching framework, basically. And then the interesting part, I think, of this, the live demo of this, and I'll give the word to Ildiko to say a few words on that and to show it from our screen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dennis. That's a very useful talk, and I'm very happy to follow this with some practical introduction of the system itself. Thank you very much for setting the ground by mentioning interoperability and the strong reference to our data model. I think as a disclaimer in advance, it's important to mention that our data model has been deliberately built to encompass any potential standard you may already be familiar with, and you are certainly very familiar with the European qualification framework and some of the national qualification frameworks across Europe. Most of you are probably familiar with ECO, the European Classification of Skills Opportunities or Skills Qualifications and Occupations. And we are also providing a route for any framework templates that are not thought out by ourselves. So you are able to refer to other external frameworks for competences or qualification frameworks, etc. So that what you end up with is tweaking a little bit of the templates and the XML files that you produce as issuers. And voila, you have a Europass compliant credential that people are able to, as citizens, are able to utilize for admission to other education provider institutions, or to share with prospective employers as part of their CVs and job applications. Another quick comment before I share my screen is that the way we interpret digital credentials, and it's very important to get the definitions right straight at the beginning, is that it's a documented statement about an individual, and it's a claim about what the owner has achieved in terms of learning outcomes that could be linked to different skills, competences, and knowledge. It's also important to know that ours, we use the W3C standards to produce verifiable credentials, and they can only be issued by institutions, organizations who possess a qualified electronic seal. And this is one safeguard against diploma mills and fraud. It also proves to be a bottleneck because institutions have to acquire these qualified e-seals, but that's unfortunately just a must without which people cannot progress. We're still in early stages, but we foresee within the next 5-10 years that most education providers, including higher education institutions, would acquire these e-seals and will be able to move from the traditional realm of credential issuing into the digital world. And now I'm going to share my screen and show you my Europass profile. So once any individual from any part of the world records or registers a Europass account, this is a free account where people can keep an e-portfolio. As is already mentioned, this is integrated and interoperable with a growing number of job providers and course providers. We have a direct link to the European Qualification Database that uses the exact same data model that we do. So the people who have these Europass accounts are able to find courses that match their skills, competences, and career goals. You can set this up and tweak this. So you can log your skills, but you can also get your skills registered from your digital credentials. And this is where we get to the digital credentials. Part of the Europass account is a so-called library where people can create and upload their various CVs. They can design and draft cover letters. And one part that is particularly important from our point of view is the certificates and diplomas, which is the Europass implementation of the EDCI wallet. This is just the first of the implementations. We encourage all the early adopters to design their own wallets if they like, to incorporate the code into their existing student information systems. And in that case, their students can be directly awarded Europass compliant credentials. But if an institution doesn't have their own implementation of the wallet, the learners can still receive their diplomas, qualifications, or other types of credentials that are any shape, size, or form in their Europass and store it there, share it from there. And this is what it looks like. So just to show what one looks like, you can be issued a digital credential either via email, and then you will receive an attachment, which is an XML file. That's the format of a digital credential, a Europass digital credential. Or if the issuer organization knows your wallet address, which in this case, in my case, is this 8-character string, then you directly get the credential deposited as if you were initiating money transfer to somebody's bank account, if you know the bank details. So just to show you a qualification type credential, I can click on these thumbnail images to get a preview of the credentials. And that's where you will see a facade or a first preview where you just see some basic front information. This almost looks like a PDF scan of a normal, the traditional credential with the name and seal or logo of the issuing organization, the title of the credential, the name of the credential holder, and what they have achieved, and of course an issuance date. This is customizable, or very soon will be. Our developer team is working on it. And if you'd like to see some underlying information of this credential, you are able to click on that credential detail button, as I did. And on the left-hand side, you will see that there are different sections depending on the data richness of this credential, where you can see further information about the issuing organization, the credential owner, its in your case, if you open this credential from your own wallet, you will see information about you. But if you share this credential with a third party, for example, a prospective employer, they will be able to see the credential owners as they were set by the issuing organization. So there again, remembering from the previous presentations how important it is to be able to verify the owner of the credential. This is an important aspect here, that the viewers can actually check the data content of the credential. And very slowly, but eventually it did appear, we are also offering 5 authentication and verification checks. It will soon be 6. One will be the technical format of the XML file, which is the credential, the seal. If you do not have a qualified e-seal, you will fail this validation. We are working on a revocation list. So if for plagiarism or any other reasons, the issuer revokes your credential, later on the viewer of the credential will see this. And this is something that you will find particularly interesting. We are going to connect to the Accreditation Database, which is the qualification database or part of it. So we will be able to see that if a qualification or a digital credential is a qualification type credential, the issuer will have to prove that they are legally allowed and authorized to issue such credentials. Now, this is something that we rely on the member states' judgment. There is no forcing of a uniform European approach. So whatever country finds accredited as a program or an institution, this is where we will see if the accreditation check is completed. And there's validity. Certain credentials are only valid for a period of time. You have to renew your credentials after a year or 5 or whatever. So if there's an expiry date set in the credential, once that's expired, this validity check will turn into the red X. So as I said before, we collect information about the issuer, the owner, the holder of the credential, great details about the achievements of the credential, including assessments, the modes and the grades, etc. Volumes of learning, ESCAD codes for the thematic area, ECTS credit points, qualification framework levels, whether it's an EQF or NQF, it's always a reference. And we are providing the basis for micro-credentialing. So we're still working on it, but sooner or later, people will be able to stack credentials and have full qualifications that have partial qualifications, let's say on course level. They'll be able to see activities involved in the achievement of this credential, and where it's relevant entitlements. That could be if you earn a master's degree, you are entitled to enroll in postgraduate studies, or if you have a law degree, you have the entitlement to act as an attorney, etc., etc. So this was a very quick run through. If you want to share this credential, you just click on the share button, select a date by which, until which you would like to share this credential, generate a link, copy this link and send it to whoever you want to send it to, and that person or office will only have access to the credential you shared until the date you set in this share window. So that again is something to avoid abusing access to these credentials. So we are paying a lot of attention to GDPR issues and privacy issues. So that's the part from the wallet and the library. I'm going to take a quick look at the chat to see if there are any questions that I can answer, or if somebody could read it out to me.
Yes, thank you very much, Ildiko, for all the clear presentation. What from Julie Reddy, so from SAQA, what exactly is considered the credential to be included in a Europass account, probably? And then, also Julie Reddy is asking, would appreciate the definition of a credential and what it includes and excludes. Does it include CPD, etc.? So continuing professional development or lifelong learning?
Absolutely, absolutely. We, as I said at the very beginning, and I'm going to paste the link to our data model here from GitHub, we designed the data model so that it can allow any kind of issuing of any size of formal or non-formal credentials. So I could issue a credential to all of you who attended this webinar with details about the webinar, and whether you want to use it or share it, it's up to you. And obviously, as a credential issuer, it's up to you what you issue a credit for. This is already a known culture from the open badge community. The thing that we are doing differently here is that the bar is a bit higher. So with the qualified e-seal, you can just randomly issue whatever credential, or it's at your own risk.